I know, I'm sweating because it's really hot today. It's like 90 degrees, and I had to turn the air conditioning off. Man, the difference in lighting is so insane. Like, if I shoot front lit like this, it looks good, but if I shoot backlit like this, I'm like a ghost. Oh, I can turn more lights on, though. Maybe I should do that. There we go. That might help. Okay, boys. This is the plan. We're making breakfast, okay? We're making breakfast sandwich and some coffee. You guys know coffee is important in the morning to get things going. First step, we gotta weigh out our beans here. I have a hand grinder. If you have a real electronic burr grinder, those are definitely better, but I have a hand grinder, so that's what we're working with. We're gonna measure like 40 grams because we're making a pretty good amount. I'm gonna be putting this coffee in this little carafe, so I'm thinking like 40 grams, which is about 2 cups worth. Let's just measure that out. And now the fun part. By the way, this coffee is from Big Shoulders. They are a local roaster here in Chicago. Honestly, like, I feel like people put a little too much emphasis on like, oh, where's the coffee from? Is it Colombian? Is it Guatemalan? Whatever. I just think get coffee from a local roaster so it's fresher and grind it fresh. And you will always get great coffee, man. I think people worry a little bit too much that they're buying like super premier high-end coffee. Just make sure that it's super fresh because that makes it taste good. So, time to grind. I'm grinding on the finest setting that is available on my grinder, which is a 1. Someone asked dark or light roast. I believe it's medium roast. I believe the 2 drip things down here mean medium. All right, let's grind. Okay. Whew. Get a nice little arm workout. And usually when I'm doing this, I'm hungover, so it's like this is even more intense. All right. We got our coffee grounds right there. So we're making a pour over. If you don't know how that works, the general premise is a little funnel sits up here. I'm trying to show you guys. So this funnel sits up here. We're going to put a filter in there, put the coffee in there, pour the water in there, it drips down, and we get delicious coffee. So let me grab a filter real quick. All right, I like to fold this little seam over so it fits a little more nicely in there. All right, so here's what we do. We got our very, very hot, pretty much boiling water. We're just gonna rinse out the paper. So basically there's like micro paper particles that will taste a little papery. So we wash those out, and this also serves the purpose of heating up our carafe so that there won't be like a big temperature change where the coffee has to cool down too fast. So I'm just gonna pour this out. Put our grounds in here. And again, this is the finest grind that my hand grinder can accomplish, but it's still pretty coarse. Like really, you want it to be kind of like sand or like table salt. This is a little bigger. This is more like kosher salt, but it'll do. So let's zero out the scale. So I think we're gonna do like 500 grams of water, maybe like 550. First, we're gonna put in 100 grams and let it sit for about a minute, okay? So just make sure everything in there gets all wet. And then what I like to do is even give it like a stir, just to make sure all the grounds get wet during this point. It's running through pretty fast, so we can add a little more. Okay, so we're just gonna let that sit for, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. This is called blooming the grinds. So normally you want the water to go through pretty slowly so that it has time to actually, extract, but because the grind is too big, because this is as small as my grinder can go, it's not going to be perfect, but I think we'll survive. Okay, that's probably long enough. Let's pour the rest here. And really what you're going for is you don't want to pour too fast, and you also want to make sure that every single pocket of dry grinds in here gets wet. So if you see any like sticking to the side, make sure you get that. Make sure you pour slow enough that you don't overfill your pour over. I know some people like to do like they draw stars or they make circles. So again, we're going to maybe like 550. I think we're going to go to like 550 grams, which is 550 milliliters. Because metric works sensibly. There we go, that should be good. So now we just wait for this to brew. And that's the long and short of it. And then this is going to be boiling hot, obviously. So while that cools, we'll make our breakfast sandwich, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see how fast this is dripping here. Yeah, that's pretty much done. So we'll just throw the lid on here. And that's just going to cool down as we cook our breakfast sandwich. So let's get to that. We're making a basic breakfast sandwich. Bacon, eggs, and cheese. I know some of you are going to want to judge me for using American cheese. And I mean, I get it. But the thing is, like, American cheese melts perfectly. There is no substance on earth that melts as perfectly as American cheese. So I just really hate it when I get like a sandwich and it has like cheddar on it. And the cheddar is like not melted at all. And if it's like aged cheddar, it's just like a dry slab of cheddar and then it's like leaking oil. I hate that. So I like the perfect melting properties of American cheese. I think that's the way to go. But we're gonna start with our bacon here. So this pan is cold. So pro tip, generally if you're cooking bacon on the stove, a cold pan just works better to start. It will keep the bacon from curling up and only cooking on a small part of it because it curls. Cold pan's the way to go, guys. So I like to start with a cold pan, and I like to cook it at pretty low heat, like medium low. That looks like medium low, right? Cook it at medium low. I feel like a lot of people, they have this feeling that if you want something to be crispy, you have to cook it at a hot temperature. But actually a lot of times it's usually the opposite, right? You want the bacon to be crispy, and the way it gets crispy is it evaporates all the moisture. And so if you cook it at too high of a heat, some parts are going to burn before all the moisture has a chance to evaporate. So that's why we're cooking it at medium low. I am so sweaty, guys. I really want to turn the AC on, but it'll ruin the audio, so we're not going to do it. Here's another bacon tip. Like I said, start it in a cold pan, low heat, and flip pretty regularly. This is another weird misconception I think people have, is that you should only flip stuff once. You should flip stuff many times, whether it's a burger, a steak, whatever. I know it's Father's Day. My dad would be mad at me if I said to flip a burger multiple times, but you can totally flip a burger multiple times, guys. It works better. And so you can see, if we started this in a hot pan, these edges would be curling up really bad, and it would be hard to cook the whole bacon evenly, but that's the important part about starting in a cold pan. So I'm gonna scramble this bad boy. I like to do it in like, even if I'm not scrambling the egg, I like to do it in like a bowl. Because that way you make sure that you catch any shell that you accidentally get in there or whatever. So I'm just going to beat this up. Some people like to add milk or water to their scrambled eggs. I don't bother. I think it's fine just by itself. Let me wash this fork. Let me get the bacon flipping while I'm over here. We're just making sure that it doesn't start to burn before it has a chance to evaporate all the moisture and render out all the fat. Because we're going to be cooking the eggs in this fat. That is the best part of bacon and eggs. Here, I'm actually going to reorder these. There we go. I'm going to put the little ones on the outside because they're cooking a little faster. Put the big ones in the middle there. Uh-oh, we got a little curling, boys. A little bit of curling. It's fine, it'll survive. All right, so we got our egg beaten. So yeah, we're gonna cook the egg in the fat, and then we're gonna make a sandwich, and we're gonna toast the sandwich in the fat as well. This is, here's a little pro tip. This is some salsa from a local Mexican restaurant. Whenever I order like a burrito or tacos or whatever, I always get extra salsa, and I save it for occasions like this. And a little bit goes a long way, but trust me, that little bit of red salsa is going to kick it up to the next level. I'm going to season it at the end. I'm going to season the egg after I cook it. There's some debate about whether you should salt the egg before you cook it or after. It seems like salting it before makes the egg more tender, but it also makes the egg weep more water, and it also makes the egg turn orange, which some people don't like. If you salt it at the end, the egg will be brighter yellow and it won't weep as much water, but it might not be as tender. So there is some disagreement about whether you should salt the eggs before or after. Won't using a fork in the pan scratch the pan? It can, but the thing is, like, using a fork would destroy the pan if I were like really rubbing it in. But you can see I'm like barely touching it. And the other thing is that like non-stick pans are kind of on a timer anyway. The non-stick coating on a non-stick pan is not going to last like 10 years. I'd say you're lucky to get 5 years out of a non-stick pan. So usually I just buy inexpensive ones and I don't stress too much about using metal stuff on it, because even if you treat it really well, this coating is not going to last that long. So this is almost done. I know my MF and stuff. I don't really know my stuff that well, but something I will note, I don't even know where it is, but I read this book called The Food Lab by J. Kenji Lopez Alt. I highly recommend it. It is like a big hardback book. I got it for Christmas like 5 years ago, and it's really, really great. It'll teach you a lot about food science. So I don't claim to be an expert on food. I just make things the way I like them, but I learned some stuff from that book. So let's rescue this bacon real quick. Okay, well, I think I overcooked it a little bit. Usually I use like the size of the bubbles as an indicator for how cooked it is. When you get these little tiny foamy bubbles like this, that's when the bacon is really starting to get crispy and to the point of being overcooked. So I think I may have overcooked it while I was talking to you guys, but yeah, it's a little overcooked, but I think it'll be fine. All right, next up is the egg. I'm actually gonna give the pan a chance to cool a little bit because this fat is definitely like really, really hot right now, and it will overcook the egg. So I'm just gonna let it cool for just a second. We'll make sure that we have our salt and pepper ready for seasoning the egg. So our pan has cooled down a little bit, I'm sure. We're gonna aim for like medium low-ish heat. My burners are really, really hot. Like, even if they don't look like they're turned up that high, they get really hot. So I'm just gonna grab this egg, pour it on in there. And what I'm looking to do here is basically, I'm just going to take the cooked edges and scoot them inward so that some of that inner egg that's not cooked can find its way out. And then we're going to look for a big flip. When we start to feel confident, we're going to go for a big flip, boys. You think we can do it? Oh God, I might splash oil on myself and hurt myself, so don't try this at home. But I'm just doing it because I only have one hand. There we go. Hopefully I actually got that in the shot. Not bad. Okay, I rescued the egg, kind of. Okay, let's assemble our sandwich. Let's season our egg before I forget. Salt and pepper. Take our bread. Oh wow, this bacon is very, very well done. It's very crispy, which if you like really crispy bacon, that's what you want. I like a little bit of chew in my bacon, so I would consider this a little overcooked for my taste, but it's fine, guys. Our egg. And our slice of cheese. Again, don't judge me for using American. It just melts the best, guys. Nothing comes close to this melt potential. By the way, I turned the stove off this whole time because, again, like, I don't want the pan to get too hot. When you're cooking bread in a pan, you want it to be low heat usually, or else it'll scorch. So, grab our sandwich, throw it right back in our pan. Turn the heat back on. A little higher than that. Okay. Grab my little flipper here. And again, like, remember what I said about flipping things multiple times? I think it's totally smart to flip something like this multiple times. It's going to be hard to do with one hand, though. Ooh, it's going to be hard with one hand. Oh, don't fall over, pan. Okay. Ooh. We did it, boys. Yeah, I think it's smart to flip multiple times. You just get more even cooking. You're less likely to get it like burnt on one side before the other side has a chance to get brown at all. I like the multiple flip strategy. I'm gonna press it a little bit just to make it a little more manageable. Sorry if my camera work is not the greatest. I don't have like a I don't have a monitor right now because I'm looking away from my phone, so I can't tell if I'm actually getting what I'm trying to here. But I'm sure it's fine. One-handed flip. Look at that, boys. Look at that. It's all coming together, baby. Just make sure I get the bread greased so that it cooks nice and even. Lose a little bit of egg. Tuck it back in. Tuck it nice and snug back in there. And make sure our pan is actually on the flame. And one-handed flip. All right, I think we're pretty much done here. Cheese is melting nicely. Oh yeah, that's perfect. All right, rescue our sandwich one-handed. Turn the heat off. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much our sandwich. I'm just going to open up our salsa here. We're just going to drip, drip, drip. This is very spicy, so a little bit goes a long way. And then here's probably the most important tip I'm going to show you today, guys. Triangles taste better. That's another thing I stole from J. Kenji Lopez, the author of The Food Lab. Triangles just taste better. I don't know what it is. There's just a law that if you cut things into the shape of a triangle, it just straight up tastes better. So let's whew. Am I red? Am I sweaty? Am I moist, boys? Am I moist? Let me moist towel up myself off. Whew. Whew. Okay. Let's try the sandwich. That's pretty perfect. I can't lie. The bacon is a little overcooked for my taste, but that's pretty perfect. And the salsa really kicked it to the next level. Let me find my handy dandy mug here, and let's pour ourselves a cup of joe. This is probably still going to be like face meltingly hot, but sometimes you have to take some risks for the sake of caffeine, okay? We gotta take some risks here, guys. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good coffee, boys. That is damn good coffee. You know, again, this was not a chefy, high-class breakfast that I made for us just now. This was not Gordon Ramsay quality. This was just me in my studio apartment making some bacon and eggs and coffee. But I think for what it is, I couldn't have asked it to turn out better. So that was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna just eat this breakfast and enjoy this cup of coffee. And let me know what you would like to see on the next episode of JMCooks. The next one I'm probably gonna go more elaborate. I've done 2 in a row that are kind of like easy things to make, like beginner cooking, but I want to do something a little more elaborate. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. But thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of JMCooks.